Hey there everybody, Nick Review Mix here, and it's time for the comic book reviews for this week. Don't have a whole lot, only 2 new books, and I got some that I missed that I picked up. Let's take care of those first. Here we have Batman Gotham Gazette. It's called Batman Alive. This is a follow-up to the Batman Dead issue that they did. Now it's interesting, while the Batman Dead issue dealt with various, characters in the supporting cast, such as Leslie Tompkins and Vicky Vale and Spoiler, and how they dealt with Batman's death. I figured that this would have to do with his return. Well, not really his return, since Bruce Wayne is still dead, but the new Batman, Dick Grayson. And it really has very little to do with that. It really is a continuation of everybody picking up the pieces, though it has very little to do with Dick Grayson actually becoming Batman. The artwork I found to be very strange, so to speak. I thought the characters didn't really look like how they usually look. It's kind of hard to describe. Probably has to do with the fact that there's a bunch of different artists on this, but I didn't enjoy this one all that too much, so they can't all be winners. Speaking of which, here is Deadpool Games of Death. This is a one-shot that came out a few weeks ago that I missed out on. Once again, the art really threw me here. It's kind of cartoonish, and not in that Ed McGuinness Deadpool kind of style. It's also very slapsticky violent. It's kind of hard to describe. I did enjoy it, but I don't know if it was worth the $4, I think that the story was very thin. Basically, it involves Deadpool taking a job by this old guy who sends him to find his son, and he goes to this. He goes to Japan, where there's this island where they do this illegal reality game show that's really violent. Kind of reminded me a little bit of like The Running Man, but with Deadpool. Not great, but not really bad either. Okay, so moving on to the comics from this week. I only got 2 of them. Here we have Supergirl number 42. This is by, let's see, who did this one? Sterling Gates is the writer, and Jamal Igle is the artist. Now, if you've been reading Supergirl, it's probably for the same reason that I've been reading it, because you've been following the new Krypton story arc in Superman, and it crossed over into Supergirl quite a bit. And I've still been picking it up, even though it wasn't really on my pull list before. I only started reading this book when New Krypton started, and I'm still reading it because it still does tie very closely to the Superman books and the New Krypton story arc. You might remember from the end of last issue that Supergirl had to fight Superwoman, and that after she ripped the S off her chest, her whole body destabilized, and she basically got vaporized. And this was shortly after she was revealed to be Lucy Lane, Lois Lane's sister. So Lucy Lane is pretty much dead. Her father is in a state of shock. He wants Supergirl not only dead, but to suffer. Lois Lane is also kind of in a state of shock. She's a little bit angry. I like the way the whole thing was handled. She doesn't really believe it. She needs proof, and she had a bit of anger, even though she says that she knows it's not Kara's fault. She's still somewhat dispassionate and cold towards her. I also like the ongoing relationship, sort of a mother-daughter relationship between Kara and Lana Lang, which will make Supergirl, I think, go a little further away from her own mother, who is quickly showing to be a lot more sinister, with each passing month. So I did enjoy this issue. It was worth taking a look at. Now, one thing it says end at the end. I don't know if this is the last issue or what. It's kind of weird. And finally, this is the big one. We have Invincible number 63. Then this is a very... here, let me show you guys this. Look at this cover. This is gory as hell. You got Invincible covered with blood. You got a broken bone where the whole bone is sticking out in multiple directions, and it's just absolutely nuts. This is the third part of Conquest, in which Invincible is battling a very old Viltrumite by the name of Conquest, and the battle's still not over. And like with the last issue, most of this issue is fighting, and therefore it's a very quick read. However, it's also a very exciting read. Now, the one thing about this is, and pardon me if I'm spoiling anything here, so you might want to stop the video right here if you don't want to get spoiled on this, but I don't think it is a spoiler, really. In this issue, Kirkman does finally get around to killing off the character Atom Eve. And he does it in a rather brutal manner, where I'll show you here. And there you can see Conquest punching the hell out of Atom Eve, and there he is sticking his hand right through her, and she dies a few panels later. Actually, I think on the next page. Now, I mean, this would have been a really shocking thing if Kirkman hadn't been mouthing off about it for quite some time in the letters page and in interviews and such about the fact that Eve was going to die. I think he was trying to soften the blow by telling us it was coming because he knew that, you know, everybody really liked this character and that she'd been built up to be, you know, basically Invincible's second half. And now she's dead, and Conquest is going to get his, I think, in the next issue. But we'll see what happens. I really like the Conquest character, so I hope he doesn't get killed off too soon. I hope he becomes sort of a recurring villain, maybe kind of like on the level of Angstrom Levy. But like I said, I think that the death would have been more of a shock if it hadn't already been said that it was happening. I mean, we were all dreading it, we all knew it was going to happen, and we're all just waiting for it to happen. A lot of people thought that, you know, the Invincible War was where she would die, and then when she didn't, we thought she might die in her hospital bed because she was injured. But in this issue, as soon as she gets out of the hospital bed and she goes off to help Invincible, you know that Conquest is going to kill her. And it really, knowing it coming, it lessens the impact, I think. But overall, a very enjoyable issue. Not the greatest week, but not the worst either. Best book was Invincible. The worst book, I think, was the Gotham Gazette. We'll see you guys next week with more comic reviews.